Hello, I'm Thomas Hare, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the latest episode of Take 20, created by the PDMI Brand Response Council. These 20-ish minute live conversations featuring leaders in the performance marketing world speaking about the hottest topics in the industry are scheduled twice a month. And I believe, Chris, that this is essentially our 5th anniversary episode. Our first episode was in early July of 2020, right? Smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. And that's why we started this.
Happy 5, baby.
Yeah, 5 years. This is episode 118. So welcome all and thank you for being here. Before we get to today's conversation, a housekeeping note, we'll be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of today's session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll collect them and try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the episode. You know, to its midpoint, 2025 has been a year of fluctuation. Initial growth estimates for the ad industry have been tempered, while questions about the economy, consumer confidence, and more continue to cause consternation for many performance brands and categories. What can you expect the second half of the year? Take 20 host and PDMI Brand Response Council Chair Chris Foster of Modern Postcard is here, and welcoming this trio of PDMI member agency executives, BB3 Advertising Ariel Benz, TCA's Sabeena Mannan, and Cannella Media's Bill Raymond, to take the temperature of performance media, discuss the best opportunities available now, and share their visions of what's next. Welcome all. Chris, take it away.
Thank you so much, Thomas, and welcome in everybody. So excited to have this episode, and this is an important one. We have it every year, we have it mid-year. We want to review how 2025 is shaping up. Everyone knows the new year started with a new political administration and also new changes to the AI landscape. So in January, Deloitte Digital predicted that personalization and generative AI would become keystone initiatives for all these advertisers and marketers, and also new expectations for the agencies that they work with. As you guys know, agencies are always adapting to the requirements and the wishes of their clients. Plus, they need to provide an increasing strong return on ad spend for the campaigns. So it's testing, optimizing channels, giving value, learning more, but most importantly, being ahead of their clients with technology and tactics. I'd like to go around the horn first off. And so if each of you could give a 2-minute recap of what your agency does and just a kind of a candid one-liner or so of how the year's been. Sabeena, let's start with you.
Happy to start. So TCA is a performance-powered media agency. We operate with speed, flexibility of a boutique agency, but luckily we're backed by the scale, the tools, the data of Omnicom. Our goal really is to build audience-first strategies, drive real growth for our clients, and we're across categories from fintech, retail, B2B, and that's kind of where TCA stands. One-liner about 2025. I don't know about one-liner. Media people really like to talk a lot. We have a lot of words.
You have 2 lines, that's fine. I'll give you 2 or 3.
But I think 2025 has really been fast. It's been high pressure. We're doing a lot more. Sometimes we're doing a lot of it for a lot less, but we're focusing more on things like the mid-funnel. We're seeing where the real opportunities are. We want to stretch our dollars and really just take advantage of this softer marketplace that we're seeing.
I love it. That's fantastic. Bill, let's go to you.
Thanks, Chris. So Bill Raymond, and I am with Cannella Media, and we have been doing direct-to-consumer performance marketing before it was like the buzz, right? I think like 5 years ago, everyone caught on. When we started it, it wasn't the cool thing, but it's in our DNA. We are full omni-channel, from linear to CTV to digital to audio, but again, it's all performance marketing. We also own our own fast channels. So one of them is called RVTV, and then we just recently launched one called Wine, Watches, and Whiskey. So look out for that. And with that, we also have our own NOC, which is our network operating center. Again, we have the largest CPA platform in the overall business. That's for long form, short form, and then we also now offer that for CTV. And all of this is backed from our what we call Tribute, and that's how we attribute all of our orders, and we can do that on a airing level, all of the data. And fun fact is we are celebrating our 40th year this year in business, so that is quite the feat for Frank and team. So when I look at this year, it's all about control, right? Where there's been so much uncertainty inside the overall marketplace. It's all about, you know, what's going on with the consumers and tariffs. So there are a lot of the larger clients are really not pulling back, but they are looking at it and only spending where it makes sense. But I at the same time, there are some new marketers that have found a white space, and with a down market, you know, there are certain pockets where clients can increase. Lastly, it's all about, you know, you have to optimize on a daily basis to make sure that all the media makes sense.
Fantastic. I like it. Ariel, wrap it up.
Ariel over at BB3. We are also a performance agency. Our main focus is working with challenger brands and making sure that their smaller budgets really work in the marketplace and allow us to really empower their brand and really put their limited budgets in achieving outstanding and outsized performance. We are omni-channel, not just from the more traditional stance of, you know, linear and digital. We also work in influencer marketing, and we are constantly exploring new avenues. For us, 2025 has been a lot about upskilling our team in the AI space, and also exploring new avenues for clients. Really making sure that we're focused on both the upper funnel and lower funnel so that we can ensure that clients are really branding and driving sales, so that they are really pushing themselves into the marketplace and taking up some of that market share.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for the intro. We're going to start kind of going around the horn with some of these questions. And Ariel, we will start with you. You mentioned upscaling in the AI space. How are you deploying AI within the work environment?
Yeah, there's a couple ways we are doing that right now. One of the main ways is through automation. This year we've focused a lot on increasing the amount of automation we're using through agentic AI. That's mostly down to finding processes within the business where our team has just mostly been spinning their wheels, and really being able to take them off of those projects where we can really focus on upper level strategy with our clients and how we can really maximize the return on investment for our clients.
So if I'm reading you right, are you focused more on AI in terms of optimizing internal processes versus, you know, creative strategies and brainstorming and the like?
That's one of them. So one of them is the processes, because I think that that's one of the areas we run really lean. We really like to focus on strategy and really focus on the execution optimization. So we found that this was an area that we could use AI in a way that's really beneficial to our clients and to our team. The other areas that we're also using it, to your point, is we're using it with the generative AI, and that's in our creative space. It's allowing us to really scale our personalization from a targeting standpoint, but also from a creative standpoint, which allows us to A/B test significantly faster. It allows us to optimize campaigns much quicker. And we're doing that a lot in the digital and the social space, but increasingly we're taking that same methodology into television and CTV.
Wonderful. I love it. Sabeena, question for you. This is a different year than it has been, and you had mentioned that, you know, it's kind of fast and high pressure, really focusing on mid funnel, but really doing more with less, right? So what are your clients looking for this year that might be different than previous years that you've noticed?
So I think that this year it feels like integration really is the name of the game. Our clients really don't want siloed strategies anymore. They're really looking for things that are more holistic solutions. They're looking for agency teams that really are an extension of their own. It's not just, okay, you know, we're going to talk to this person and then, you know, just people at a keyboard kind of like hitting go. And of course, all that said, ROAS still matters, but because the performance conversation is also sort of changing, it's maturing, what they're looking at for for sure is what's the total business impact of what we're doing for them, right? How fast are they sort of recouping on acquisition costs? How well is the creative that they're using actually performing? Is it performing really well across all the platforms? And I'd say, like, for most of our clients, there's also this pressure to really stand out. Differentiation is really hard to come by right now. CPMs only are going up, and so to be able to actually compete out there, it's challenging. But, you know, we like to look at it as, okay, every challenge, it's an opportunity. We're seeing that clients are more open to leading into things like custom content, creative storytelling, creating deeper brand integrations across all of the channels that they're on, whether it's streaming, social, live sports. So yeah.
So a question for you, Sabeena, do you think that your clients are getting smarter and better as it relates to attribution, as it relates to measurement? Are you having to coach them less, or are you having to coach them more?
I think it's not coaching as it is educating, right? Our goal is to really be more proactive than it is reactive with any of our clients. And so as conversations shift, for example, convergent TV is becoming kind of like the new thing, right? Like, for us to be able to explain to them, this is how that landscape is changing. This is how the video marketplace is improving, or just, you know, flat out, maybe there's some changes that we want to make ourselves within the campaigns. And then it's looking at how are we going to do all that, and then also drive measurable outcomes that they can actually lean on.
Yeah, so again, agencies have to be ahead of where their clients are. So Bill, you talked about CTV and digital marketing, and, you know, of course, Cannella has a deep history with linear. It seems like connecting and complementing these channels is now commonplace. What do you have seen that's emerged as some of the best practices in knitting these channels together?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start that in, you know, when you look at the overall marketplace today, clients have to share all the data, right? Because there's so many multi-touch throughout the consumer journey. So we look at it as not siloed, but as one, and what's going to work the best. And we test and we pivot where needed. And of course, clients that have the most assets available are allowed to pivot the quickest, right? So, you know, you look at all we hear right now, linear TV's dead. While of course it's dying, we all see it, but it's still massive. Like, it's still really, really large. And especially for what is that demo? Who is that target market? And then you look at CTV, there's so much more of that. And while CPMs have increased in some cases they've gone down. You just have to be able to hunt and see exactly what is out there. And then you bring in digital, we bring that in to reinforce it, to remarket, to target, to bring that overall CPA in line. And then it's not just about what is the overall platform, but what is the media length, right? Where you can do 15 seconds, where in some cases you can get the message across there, but a lot of times you need longer. You need a 30, a 60, or a 120. And then when you look at linear, like 3s and 5s, right? While a 3-minute and a 5-minute, I like to think of it now as a mini infomercial, right? It's in programming. You can still tell a story, and then there's still the long form, and then we also have some cases where we can air a 1-hour show. It just depends on what is the sale, what are you targeting, and then at the end of the day, it's really about what are you buying the media at, right? There's not bad media, there's just bad rates. So you really have to understand and have your pulse on the overall marketplace to make sure that you're buying the media at the rates that make sense for your overall different client. And then lastly, it's about reach, frequency, and putting the data back and making it so you're building the puzzle to make sure that we're hitting the KPI of every single client.
That makes sense to me. I appreciate that. That's a very comprehensive answer, and not bad media, just bad rates. I'm going to throw that as a quote. Ariel, I would like to go back to you, and I'm curious. You mentioned challenger brands, and what are some of these unique opportunity for challenger brands that didn't exist before? As we've talked before about, this is now kind of a brand new world and new opportunity for niche brands to connect with their niche audience. And if you have an authentic brand culture, and again, you don't have to be a big brand to be a great brand, and great brands are the ones that authentically connect with their customers. There's a lot of room for a lot of great brands. So how do you see 2025 going to be a banner year and a better year for these challenger brands looking to grow?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is a lot of our clients are taking a real hard look at what they're doing on social in terms of their community building.
Okay.
So what we really focus on is that influencer, that community that starts on the screen that's closest to our face most of the time. And we're really putting a lot of energy into building that reputation and building that community and that brand feeling, making sure that we're having that feedback loop with the audience in a way that allows us to take those learnings and translate that into our TV, our CTV, and our digital efforts. And what we're seeing is that allows us to move with an amazing amount of agility, and it allows us to really basically put them in the running with these larger brands in a way that they couldn't do previously when they were just competing budget for budget. So what we're doing is we're kind of reverse engineering how we're getting that visibility and that unique space and that unique voice out on the bigger platforms.
Got it. So is it something like Insta and TikTok? Are those some of the favorite channels?
Yes, right now, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok are our 3 largest platforms for building those communities and for that feedback loop.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Where, back in the way back machine, smaller brands might have to buy some media and get on linear and the like. And now these challenger brands have more affordable options to get wide exposure that they couldn't get in years past. So it's a really interesting convergence of the technologies, consumer behaviors, and now the rise of the personalities. And if you're a very good influencer, if you can learn how to market as an influencer, really expands the opportunities for those brands and those folks. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, definitely. And it levels the playing field in a way that we didn't see previously. And I think that that's what's really unique about this new way of advertising, or this new way of looking at the way you're advertising, is that we don't have to come in at the top and work our way down. We're really starting from a digital native perspective and building our way up into that linear space or into that offline space or CTV space, wherever it is they choose to expand. But when they're getting to those larger platforms that generally have a higher barrier of entry, they've learned so much about what their messaging needs to be and where they need to be when they get to those platforms. We start at a much better place in terms of our testing.
I love it. That's a wonderful way to democratize the chances for these smaller brands to compete. Sabeena, I'd like to go back to you. We talked a little bit about AI, and Ariel had mentioned some AI as well with, either the creative, especially the optimization of their team. You guys work with a variety of talent. How do you see generative AI affecting your relationships and deliverables in the creative spaces?
So I'd say that AI has definitely raised the bar. I think our clients definitely expect content to be more tailored, faster, more scalable. Here at TCA, we're actually, again, lucky that we can plug into Omni, which is sort of our proprietary platform, which helps us optimize across basically the entire media workflow. But then within our network, we also have partners that do a lot of work in the DCO space. They're also doing a lot of innovative testing and building out their own AI protocols from a creative standpoint to sort of help our clients get to that next step, right? And again, because Omnicom is leading a lot of that AI transformation across the marketplace, we're not really just here to respond to the change, but we want it to move forward. We want creative and media to work together. Our job is really to help our clients understand and figure out where AI actually fits for them in their strategy for their performance. And it's not just using it for the sake of using it, but really understanding how can we measure it and figure out what's working and then continue on that sort of trajectory.
Yeah, that makes sense, because AI, as everyone's learned, it's not a one-size-fits-all type of solution, right?
It's not, and I also like, it doesn't replace our creative thinking. It only expands on what's possible, right? Like it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So if we're putting good in, we're going to get better out. And that's the idea, is to use it as a tool and really help us get our strategy. I think Ariel was saying, you know, they're using it for a lot of their internal processes. Yes, it's amazing for that, but also how can we take that technology and get better media plans, being able to really move quickly. I think Bill had mentioned something about optimizing daily. Yep, but like, can we make it quicker and not tell them that we're looking at it from like a hourly standpoint, just to make sure we're giving them the best.
Right. And what's interesting now is that, especially if you've got, you know, various, you know, especially in social, you've got ad groups and ad campaigns, you've got multivariate testing, you can run those through so much faster than ever before. It's an exciting time to be around. With the space. Bill, I guess I'll finish, and then I have a last question for everybody. But so, Bill, you guys work with so many channels, and like you said in your earlier comment, you've got to mix and match and see what's going to be best for that client. Out of all of that, though, with those services and the channels that your team is supporting, what are you seeing as the growth agent for 2025?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's performance-based linear, right? With the right client, it really works. And
Okay.
while it's decreasing, you know, in some cases it's actually opened up some because there's so many more channels out there. And then CTV, right, where you look at what's going on like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. You know, those CPMs just keep increasing and increasing, and you're kind of at mercy to them. Where if you can get linear to work or CTV to work, it's all about the rates, right? And then you and your clients will control it. It's not just putting it inside the platform and then they kind of decide where you can go. That's not the same. And we have many clients that we only spend on those platforms and it works. But if you can really get these other platforms to work, it's great, because then it feeds new eyeballs to all these platforms, and these platforms love it then because there's new people going, and they go, ooh, shiny new people, and then they're gonna pump, they will give you more media at a lower CPM. And then you look at linear, you know, for the older demo, it builds credibility, right? It shows it's a real product, especially for the ones where if it's in retail, right? You're walking through your local Target and you see the product, you go, oh, I saw that. So it really drives that. Second thing is that it's not always about even the platform, but it's about pushing the right creative, the right length, at the right audience, and again, at the right price. That's what it comes down to. Lastly, for us, it comes down to what are the KPIs we have to hit, and it's not vanity. It's about either the calls, the leads, the orders, the MER. What are the KPIs that we have to hit to make our clients happy?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fantastic. So Sabeena, I'm going to wrap up the final question for everybody. We'll start like we began. Sabeena, you're first. What do you expect on the back half of the year to be like, and how are you preparing for 2026?
Heavy question. The first half of 2025 has been crazy. I don't expect that the back half is going to get any less insane. We have an election cycle coming up. There's going to be a packed retail season that we're going to be going into. It feels like it starts earlier and earlier every single year. And then, you know, we've talked a little bit today about how there are rising media costs, and we are fighting for a lot more attention with a lot less in some cases. I think the way that we're sort of getting ahead of it is we're already in planning mode with a lot of our clients for 2026, right? We have sessions already planned out. And the idea there is to get ahead of strategy, get ahead of what we think we're going to be doing, so that when it comes down to it, we can still be a little bit nimble, show our flexibility as things change, and kind of be prepared for it. Our clients absolutely are looking for real-time visibility. They want to know what's working. They want to know where they should be pulling their dollars back from, and looking at how measurement is changing, and that measurement is actually becoming such a huge focus, especially in like CTV, where things like addressable units and shoppable formats are finally showing real business results. It's good for us to have all of that now and be able to build on it for the end of the year. And then in really looking ahead at 2026, we're going to continue to focus on integration. So how is the media, how is the data, how is the creative all working together as opposed to these siloed sort of pieces. And at the same time, we really want to just cement our position in the industry, become an even bigger leader in AI impact, and just continue to evolve in 26.
That's great. Great answer. Bill, same questions to you. What's happening in the back half and what are you preparing for 2026?
Yeah, so for the rest of this year, I mean, it's still going to be choppy, right? There's so much every day with the news cycle, it changes. But at the end of the day, you have to look for those. You need to be very proactive. You need to look for those opportunities that make sense based off of the cost. And then it's also, when you find something that works, scale quickly, test more, but also keep it in line with the overall budget. You don't want to test too much to throw it out. And then at the end of the day, it's all about data. Data's king, right? So we need to make sure that we're getting the clean data in, because then it's clean data out. And then as we head into 2026, right now there's so many new things that come up, right? Where every day there's like a new shiny object or a new shiny thing that is going to change the overall marketplace. As an agency, while of course we're always looking at these new things, you also have to be sure to focus on what is working today for your client and really get that down pat, because you can just keep changing things up because there's always something new. But while you have to be very flexible, you also have to keep your eye on the ball to make sure that you're doing what's working for your overall clients today.
Fantastic. Ariel, wrap it up.
Yeah, so our focus is continuing on the omni-channel path. There's a lot of great opportunities with AI improvements. As we know, for example, social media, the better the creative, the lower the CPM. So there's a lot of opportunities that we're going to see that we're going to continue to double down on as we go into the end of this year. I think the key is going to be agility and continuing to stay up to date with innovation around AI, omni-channel data reporting. I think it's kind of universal. All of us are on the same page with this.
Yeah.
We're really focused on video content, whether that's CTV, linear television, or on socials. We're seeing that that's going to be the king. It's going to continue to be really strong across all of the different mediums, and how we can integrate our messaging across all of those to ensure that we're really giving a unified presence for our brands and making sure that we're moving budgets where they need to be to make sure that we're really running as lean as possible, as always, for our clients.
Yeah, I love that, you guys. I think there's some really consistent themes. Of course, it's the integration that we know about, and it's taking advantage of AI where it makes sense for your clients and for yourselves. But I think also, Ariel, you just nailed it. And Sabeena, you said it at the top of the podcast, or webcast, I should say, doing more with less. It seems like that's actually going to be a common theme for everybody, because, even, Bill, you had mentioned that your clients are really looking for that control versus some of the uncertainty that's happening in the consumer world, and really being prudent with their spending. So I think I think that's going to be the trend that's going to continue. And I would not be surprised if, with the convergence of data and the various channels and the really tight measurement, that's going to be the way people advertise. It's more prudent spending, expecting agencies to do more with less, being very as controlled as possible. I think gone are the days of the old Mad Men cliche where, you spend 50% of your dollars, you have no idea what happened to them. I think that's gone. I think it's a completely new paradigm, and it's a more exciting one, especially for performance marketers. Fantastic, Thomas. Amazing conversation. What are some questions from the audience?
Tremendous stuff, folks. Yeah, a few questions from the audience that we'll try to run through quickly here. First one is for the group, so anyone who wants to jump in and take it first, go ahead. From linear to CTV, social, digital, as an industry, D2C's never had more access to media. However, when it comes to finding a brand's clients and customers, do you think more media is a friend or a foe to a campaign?
I would say that it's all about what's working the best. I mean, you need to track every single airing and to see what's working. But the more media that we have available to us, I think it's the best because every campaign is different.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's how we're actually using the media as well, right? And it's also how are we using the audience that are available in each of those media to really reach our audience or our target, right? And make our campaigns work. So you could be in one medium and it could be the best thing ever, while another client could be in 7, but you know what? That's what works for them because they have a more segmented strategy.
Yeah, I think that we're in a multi-touch universe. Not one of us probably watches television without a phone in our hand or drives down the street without looking at multiple things. We live in an environment where we are interacting with lots of different content and creatives. But yes, we have campaigns that they lend themselves based on demographic to certain mediums, and they don't need to be on all of them. We don't need a senior product on TikTok all the time. Not to say that we haven't done it, and it does work for some, but yeah, it's definitely about the right target, right medium.
Great. Good answers, guys. This one's a real nuts and bolts, back to basics. What verticals or brands are hot right now?
We're doing a lot in the beauty space. We're seeing lots of challenger brands in that area, as well as in apparel. I think that there's a lot of opportunity. Again, going back to the AI piece, that if you've got an idea, you can make it happen, and you can make it happen pretty fast. So we're seeing a lot of challenger brands coming in on that space, and then of course there's obviously loads of people going into the AI and tech space, but their advertising avenues are slightly different to what we generally see.
Yeah, well, we're seeing a lot in lead gen, from insurance to healthcare, as well as we're doing a lot in supplements for older demo. That's really big for us, and beauty continues to be strong.
Yeah, I think wellness is one of them. I think anything related to finance, and right now people wanting to save money, how do we get more out of less, is really what is knocking at our doors.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because what I've been seeing broadly, and this, it kind of cuts across the culture. There's a lot more emphasis, like you said, on wellness, on figuring out how to stay, give some degree of physical or mental security in an uncertain world. And then the idea of a financial stability, and I want to control my finances as much as I can, because I don't trust the institutions, I don't trust the government, I don't trust a lot of these other things. So there's some very large, I think, broad sweeping macro trends that are going to be driving a lot of this, because someone can control their own beauty routine, right? Just as a parent of a 26 and a 24-year-old, my youngest daughter is finding brand new beauty brands on TikTok and on Meta almost every day. It's easy to buy, it ships right to her door, she can test it out and try it. She doesn't have to go to Nordstrom to try to find a new beauty brand, because new beauty brands are showing up to her phone every hour.
Well, and I think it starts a lot younger. I mean, our daughters are 15 and almost 18, but I think when they were 10, we started this whole process, and they know exactly how to market to them.
Yeah.
Great. Let's wedge one more in. There was a lot of talk about tech. And the tech changes happening out there in the media, in the agency world, and across everything. How are you guys putting your clients into position where they aren't afraid of the tech changes, and rather they're in a position to capitalize on them?
We've been really fortunate, I think, with a lot of our clients, because I think for the last 2 years, there's been a lot of conversation with the client base that we work with around not only attribution, but also the changes within like targeting and so on. So I feel like there's been quite a good education out there in the marketplace with at least the clients that we're working with, where they're not scared of it. They're actually, quite frankly, demanding it, and they're looking for best options. So for us, it's more about ensuring that we're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible and what's available to keep up with making sure that we're not falling behind for our clients in terms of what their needs are.
Yeah, I would echo that, in that, again, we are being proactive in bringing solutions to them, as opposed to them just saying, we want you to run this, right? Even if you do say, here's our POV on it for your business at this time, maybe it'll work for you, but perhaps we wait until an XYZ thing happens, right? So I think it's really just providing them with information and, showing them that this is something that could work for them, but let's just not jump into it too quickly.
Yeah, and I'll add, I mean, it's really just about having a partnership with our clients, and the more data flow that we can share. And, I look at us now is, we have a data team. I think we have 12 people in there, which we have like data scientists on board. So it's like it keeps growing and growing, because that is the backbone of the entire ecosystem. Regarding AI, when you think about it, no, it's nuts. Is in like a year from today, this little podcast that we have going right now could all be AI. Like how crazy is that? Where you'll be able to put in prompts and say, okay, I want Bill Raymond to say whatever this, and it could be me, but it's not me. Like, it's so awesome, but so scary at the same time.
Actually, I am AI.
Yeah, I was about to say, just log on to HeyGen right now and do it.
Oh yeah, none of this behind me is real. It's all made. It's all about my preferences in life, but it's not real. Well, hey everybody, that was an amazing conversation. Really well done. Can't wait to get this on YouTube later in the week so that folks who weren't here get a chance to see it. Thank you, all of you, Sabeena, Chris, Bill, Ariel. I'm just going in the order I see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you to our attendees for being here. Our next Take 20 episode is set for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2 weeks from today, when we'll feature a conversation about how and why brands are trending toward performance metrics in their omni-channel campaigns. Please visit the pdmi.com/take-20 to register for the webinar and check out the upcoming schedule. And a reminder, online registration for PDMI West in San Diego is rolling. Badges are priced at $395 for PDMI members, $595 for non-members, and badge holders earn access to discounted hotel rooms in our PDMI block at the Intercontinental San Diego. That room block is currently priced about $200 per night less than the hotel's online rate. So great to get access to that. Visit the pdmi.com/PDMI-West to find out more and get your badge now. Thanks again to all of you. Thanks again for checking out this episode of the PDMI's Take 20. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.